Nishthaa, Tom
Yes.
Hitchcock, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday! Yay! Finally, the weekend vibes.
Last
Excited.
weekend before Christmas, so everybody's now getting ready for festivities, time off,
Correct,
and
correct. Yes, yes.
indulgence, I reckon, in most cases.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you on holidays? So what's happening with you on Christmas?
Listen, the problem is when you own a business, there's no such thing as a holiday.
Oh,
We begrudge bank holidays. When bank holidays comes up and everyone gets excited about a long weekend, we just
yeah.
think of the day I've got to pay everybody when they're not doing any work.
Uh,
It's the other way around.
yeah, no. But even for me, it looks very different. I mean, I'm working still, so it's like that.
Yes, there's no reason we don't begrudge people enjoying those, but it's a bit different at the other
Yeah,
side. And
yeah.
so
But yeah, sorry.
that's all right. So Nisha, I don't know you. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I know your name. You've
Yeah.
been very pleasant in communication. So I'm really excited to sort of get to know you on this call. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself to get us going?
Yep, sure. So I moved to Australia in 2019 as a student. I studied Masters of Creative Industries and Media from Macquarie University. Then I jumped into a lot of different roles from customer service to digital marketing to fashion journalist and then to now administration officer. So life's been a great journey from one job to the other, jumping on. And Yep, just still figuring out what exactly will. I mean, I was a digital producer for the Wire, and I really really enjoyed that role. So my goal right now is to look for something similar, and that was in Sydney. So right now I'm working as a administration officer for DHS, Department of Human Services, and even in that department I'm working at Business Services Department with Community Youth Justice. So it is very very new for me. I've recently started. It's just been 2 weeks. Really really enjoying it. And yeah, just that it's quite an amazing journey for me ever since I'm here, from traveling to people to food, just loving everything. So yeah.
Okay, so there's quite a few things there that we focus on. So it's always interesting when you ask someone for the first time, tell us a bit about yourself. Um, what we do, what work it constitutes. That's what comes up almost every time. Is well, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm doing this, I'm working out what. So vocation determines who we are, which I personally think is a bit of a shame. But yeah, I fully understand it because I do the same.
Yeah.
Um, um, okay, so I want to take one step back. So 2019, you came to Australia, Sydney, from where?
From India.
How old was you when you left India? If you don't mind my asking.
Sorry, what? Sorry.
How old were you when you left India?
21.
21. Okay, all right. So you're a lovely youthful age,
Yeah.
changing continents. That's a big decision. What was the catalyst?
So I just wanted to, explore. It was always a dream for me to go abroad and study. That was always there. So ever since I finished my bachelor's, the one thing that I did was just to apply in universities. And I used to do a lot of media stuff even in India. Like was very very active in radio, especially. So I just thought of applying in Masters of Creative Industries and Media. So the moment I got that, got a yes from Macquarie University that yes, you can come in, and got my enrollment and everything, I was just so excited, just so thrilled to explore the Aussie life, maybe if I should say it that way. But was very very happy, and so many dreams were already there in my mind that I'll do this and that. Obviously reality is a bit different. When you're here, you have to survive by yourself, and however you do, it's on you. But it was great, it was amazing. So yeah, I mean 21 is fairly young, but I was still very very confident that I will make it, and I did.
So Macquarie University, good university, they accepted you. Did you apply for universities only in Australia?
Only in Australia, yes.
Yeah. So Australia was your ticket. That's where you wanted to go. Why? Why Australia?
uh Actually, Yeah, it has a story now. Uh, so Australia was not the only place always wanted to go to US as well. Actually, US was the only place I wanted to go. But then the story is I couldn't go and I couldn't apply for any master's degree in Australia because I think they needed some 16 years of study. So what happens is 10 plus 2 plus 3. That's what I had, which is 15 years. And I couldn't apply for masters. And then I thought that, okay, I don't want to go to Canada ever, but Australia can be my thing. I just felt the vibe. I don't know. That was a vague decision. Yeah. So I just felt the vibe, and then I was like, okay, I'll go there. But then I wanted to go to Sydney, and Sydney only, nowhere else. Like
What's
that
wrong with
city.
poor old Canada? What's wrong with
Well,
Canada? It's supposed to be a beautiful country.
it's a beautiful country, but I just everyone were going to Canada from India, and I was like, okay, it'll be a mini India for me.
You know what? I haven't been to Canada, and I have heard that it's got a massive Indian population now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is a long, massive. Every person I talk to is going to Canada only, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad that I'm just not there. Maybe I don't know. But it's a
Well,
I would love to go and explore and meet people. Obviously, good for opportunities, great for everything else, but just not for me. I think so.
it's interesting. So I'm from the UK originally, and I've been here 13 years, and
Oh,
and all the Brits when they come to Australia,
yeah.
you already know this. They all go to Bondi or Coogee. Yeah,
Ah,
they're all in the same area.
one
So
guy.
they come to the other side of the world, go on a different continent. Just like you were saying, you didn't want to be around all these Indians. You might as well stay in India. You know, I do want to be around all the Brits. I wanted to move elsewhere and be with the Aussies, if you like.
Isn't
So,
that easy from Britain to move here?
not really, it's the other side of the planet. Is you're closer.
Oh, yeah, that is true. That is true. My flight is I think 12 hours or 11 hours, 15 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, we're a solid 24 with no breaks. Yeah, so it's literally the opposite end of the world.
It is the other end of the world, correct?
There's lots of Indians. There's big Indian communities here in Sydney now as well. We've got Harris Park is Little India, or what do they call it? Is it Little India?
Paris Park, the Little India. Yes, yes, yes. That's what it is called. Yes,
Yeah,
it's the moment you land up there, like you just go there. Oh my god, it literally feels like a little India itself. So many things to do, so many restaurants, and everyone has a like some or the other vibe from different continents of India. Sorry, different parts of the India, and then everyone are just literally in their vibe, and it's just amazing to be there. So yeah, sometimes whenever I miss home, I just go there.
there we are. That's the trick, isn't it? You know, in England, well, you've making me hungry now. I'm thinking about curries, but we call a curry a Ruby Murray over
Yeah.
there. So
Okay.
and there's a few Indian dishes that are actually invented in the UK as well, which I'm sure you'll be familiar with. I'm not going to bore you with those, but we're quite snobby when it comes to a good Indian. Yeah,
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
the
The
food.
food. Yeah.
So, in your opinion, where's the
Yeah.
best place in Sydney to get a curry?
Ah, this okay. There are many. There are many, many, many. The first one, okay, when I landed in Sydney, the first place that I went was Amravati. Amravati restaurant. That's just South Indian food, but it's a good one, and uh, I think I really like the taste. I was missing home, so that was the first meal I had in Australia. Otherwise, um, there's this one called Bombay Spices. I think
Mhm.
yeah, there's something like yeah, it is a good one. It has something like it has different dishes, and each one of them has great taste. So that's highly recommended. It's really really nice. But just so you know, now I live in Adelaide.
I'll do it. Okay. All right.
But I do have good recommendations in Adelaide as well. There is daughter-in-law, which I recommend to everybody, and it is super 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 tasty. I know it's a little bit expensive. It's fine dining, but I love the vibe. Just love the food. It's good.
Okay. So Adelaide is better for Indian food than Sydney.
No, Sydney's much better in everything. Like Modley, I mean,
You're
it's
missing
more
it.
like a family city, and if you know a lot of people, it's great. But I just moved here because I got a job, and then I was like, okay, it's been 2 years since I'm living here, though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So here we are. You've come to Australia. You've done your masters. You've completed that. You've made sure that you sort of integrated yourself into society here and
Yeah,
embraced its norms. And when you got a little uh, uh, got a little bit homesick, you went out and searched for a decent curry house, which is good.
yes,
But then you completed your masters. So obviously you've had to go through the visa journey. How
yeah.
does that sit with you?
Very tiring. I'm still going through that. I have not, there's a very little time of my visa that is left. It's now literally expiring in July, and I don't have a lot of time. I'm just looking for a job in either marketing or as a copywriter or as a social media coordinator or in that stuff, basically, which will help me associate my degree with Masters of Creative Industries and Media. Even though I have had a 2 years worth of experience in the same field as an intern, I've never worked in a permanent role. And even if I go and apply for any roles entry level as well, it requires some certain sort of an experience, or you know, um, I'm just not able to get anything, which is a little bit. That's why I'm taken aback a little bit, that okay, that's fairly a long time I've spent here and I don't want to go back, and I'm still struggling. So I don't know really what's happening. There are days where I have to motivate myself that okay, it's fine, even if that doesn't work out, I should be able to do something else or the other. But maybe I'm just not able to crack what exactly, even though I've worked in so many different roles, so many different places, departments have changed so many times, but then I couldn't get exactly what I wanted. So that's just a little sad for me at this stage. But I'm still, yeah, finding my way. So yeah.
Yeah, so how does that make you feel? Because I know that obviously we had myself personally, I had the visa struggles for a good 9 years that I was here. And I was speaking to an Irishman on one of these in my last episode, and he's in the cusp of that journey right now as well. And
Mm.
for me, it made it very difficult to start to build something permanent with a temporary uncertainty around it.
Yeah, there's so much of an uncertainty of employment as a even as immigrant when you come here. It's more like not a lot of people will um, consider you for certain roles. Even if they do, they have like filters, as in we need this sort of experience, or we need you to be trained in this sort of software. But my whole point was, even though I gave so many interviews, and even though I've applied and have a lot of rejections, like where do a person start from? Even though I'm trying everything to work out for me, trying different roles, going everywhere, where do I start from? And why am I not getting it if other people are getting it? So is it just, it cannot be just the visa thing. I mean, I don't know, it's really really sad at this stage. I'm really figuring out if there's any other visa that I could go on, but obviously student visa is not the best option, because I mean, according to the laws, you have to go offshore. So offshore to apply for that visa, and I'm like, okay, that's not an option, then what is the other thing? So many things are happening at this stage, so it becomes really really tiring. But at the same time, you have to motivate yourself. You cannot really sit idle. You cannot lose all the hope in the world and just be like, okay, now nothing's going to happen, I'm going to go back. That's not something you would want. I struggle so much in these nearly 6 years, and um, I don't really pay from hard work or any such type of work. I'm very much efficient in learning everything. And even if you do not learn, you always, like, learning never stops. Even if it do not learn something on the job, it's always the experience that you take away from you. That's also one thing. But yeah, I'm very sure something is going to come my way. I'm very positive. And if not, then life goes on. It's okay.
That's it. That's a good
Yeah,
attitude.
yeah.
It's difficult. So, coming from overseas to any country, any overseas experience makes life difficult. You kind of start over again. for sure. They don't really quantify your external experience. Some cases do, a lot of cases don't. And it doesn't matter where you're from. It's really common in all countries. It's two-way traffic. So, but it's part of the change which you accept when you move to a different country, which is unfamiliar to you in many respects, you know.
Yeah.
And then you've got the situation, well, where do you start from? You
Yeah,
know,
these stuff
you
for
need
me.
to get your foot in the door, and you need to,
Yeah.
that counts. You need to show loyalty, you need sort of longevity, efficiency, outcomes, and really embrace those opportunities when it comes. Which why people do, like you said, where they do internships and things like that to make sure they stand out. But even so, we own a recruitment business. We speak to people who apply for jobs non-stop, and they may even just be locals. Okay, and they're being rejected. And they also ask those same questions. Well, somebody's getting this work and it isn't me. You know, they may have
Yeah.
got an interview or two, but they haven't got the job. And and this is where owning a recruitment business really fixes that, because the first thing that someone asks in that situation is, well, what's wrong with me? You know,
Yeah.
I'm hardworking. I'm a nice person. I bring things to the table. I know I can deliver. Okay,
Correct.
and it takes gives you a confidence a knock. Okay,
Hmm.
but it shouldn't do so, because when you own a recruitment business and we see that situation, someone that's come second, someone who just didn't get the interview and so forth, we can see who has. And it's always a comparative market. It's a blind auction. You don't know who these other people are. All right,
Correct.
but when we look at this, almost every time they do bring something else. There's something else there. If we put ourselves in the hiring manager's shoes, we get it. Okay. The other people were good, but that one was better or more suited to, there's just something, a point of difference that made them a bit different and right for that role over another person.
Hmm.
And it's important that we remember that, because we don't begrudge other people's success. We live in a meritocracy, but um, we don't want to have our own confidence knocked in the process. You know, just because we
That's
didn't
true.
get a job doesn't mean we're substandard. It just means that wasn't the one for us.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always remind myself, that even if I did not get that role, that is absolutely fine. At least I learned something, learned from my mistake, because you always know where did your interview went wrong.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like you do not know. But there are cases, there have been a few interviews in my case where everything was right. I think it was just the visa stuff that didn't sit well with them. They might not be considering somebody with a visa maybe, or I don't know, um, because I've got a fairly less visa time left, I think. So maybe that could be a reason. Otherwise, yeah, at that point when everything works out fine and you know that you got the role and everything, like, and you reach on to the second stage of interview and still things go well for you, but then also rejection comes. I think that's when I get a little bit like, okay, that shouldn't have, because I was nearly there, I just got it, but it still like got stopped because of some of the other reason. And then I'm like, okay, if 1 or 2 days I just take myself to reset, and then I'm like, okay, fine, it's all good, it's okay, I cannot really sit like that. I have restarted many times throughout my journey in Australia, from one city to the other. Even when I came to Adelaide for a year, I didn't had a job, even if it's any retail job as well, I didn't have it. So I was like, that was a very very tough time, and I was so much in need of a job that I was ready to move anywhere else. And moving from one city to the other, no matter who you are, if you've moved from overseas or whatsoever, it's just not easy. With so
Mhm.
much of luggage, you're moving, back and forth, each to each, it's just not easy at all. So that was like, that was a time I never want to go back. I learned from my time, and it's okay. Sometimes things do not work. Maybe you're not meant for them. But yes, it's really um, it's a bit of a struggle when you do not find something since a long time. It's just hard to convince yourself some days. On some days,
Yeah, and I think you're lacking your support network as well as what you'd usually have
correct.
back home. And
Yeah,
even let's say you get settled and you want to get in the property market, that's where you need your support network. And And that's when you definitely feel very much alone, because you
Yeah.
have to overcome massive hurdles just to catch up.
Yes, yes. Emotional hurdles, and there's so much going on each time. You just have to, and you're the only one who knows what you're going through. Even if the other person comes and tries to motivate you, and then you're like, okay, I mean, I know that you're helping me out, which is great, and I really appreciate it. But it's just that things have been happening over and over again for me, and it's just not something I am very much convinced with at this stage, that why only I have to go through the struggle, whereas I see everyone else being very much settled in their life, going on to the other journey. Their visa is out of the door, and I just don't. Sometimes it's like, what did I do to struggle so much? But
It just make the success a bit sweeter when it comes.
yes. But there's always a, yeah, I always remind, you're right. I mean, but sometimes you just need thing at that time. Yeah.
We've all been there. That's all good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
So as we wrap up then, so someone is considering moving, it doesn't have to be to Australia, it doesn't have to be from India. Okay. They're just
Yeah.
moving to a different country. So um the context outside that is irrelevant. What would be your advice to them for them to consider before they go?
They come here before they come here,
No, not just that. So not Australia, but it doesn't have to
but
be.
anywhere in the world.
Yes, it's just wherever they're in the world, wherever they go to, wherever they're from, doesn't matter. But just anybody who's looking to leave their country, go to another country for life and career purposes, what would be your advice for them before they leave?
My advice will be to explore as much as they would like to. Do not sit idle at all. Do not go into your shell. Remind yourself why you're here, and just keep working. Do not fear hard work at all. It is, no matter how successful you are, you have to work hard. Okay? Do not forget your goals. Do not forget your goals ever. And just keep going on. That's all what life is about. Just keep going on.
I'll tell you an antidote. You just remind me of it. It's when I was working as a young man in England. I
Yeah.
was doing a sales job, knocking on people's doors and what have you, which I found fascinating. I loved it, by the way. Not particularly glamorous, but it taught me a lot. And I knocked on this one family's door in Plymouth, and they were refugees from, I can't
Yeah.
remember the country now, but the country was a war, and they come over and invade life. And they welcomed me. That they weren't unpleasant to me. They put me in for a cup of tea. They introduced me to the family. It's all clean and pleasant. And I was quite touched by that, And
Hmm.
and I asked, why are you doing this? And they that's when they explained they're refugees, and they're very grateful. I said, okay, all right. And I asked them, somewhere in the conversation, I asked them the same question: what would be your advice to other people in the same situation? And he goes, I remember that the head of the family, the father, goes to me, goes, listen, this is not our country. We was not born here. Okay, this country's uh, um, hosting us. They're looking after us. Okay, so for us to do well in this country, we need to work twice as hard as the locals. Okay,
Correct. Mm.
all right. If we work just as hard as them, then we're being disrespectful. We need to work twice as hard to get the same out. Okay, and that's what we've done, and we give more, and it works out well for us. And I've never forgotten that, because that's the same way I look at me coming to Australia. I've got to work twice as hard as the locals, out of respect for the place that's playing host for me. You know.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. You need to work twice as hard as the locals here. But again, I would just say that do not fear the hard work. Like,
Yeah.
not at all. Just be ready for it. I mean, you know that you have moved from one country, like from your country to the other. You know why you have moved, and there is no point of being very lethargic and being like, okay, I don't want to get into this job or that job. Whichever job you get into, you will always learn something, and it will be quite an experience for you. You will value everything in life you will get later. So it's best that you just be positive and keep working hard. Something
Love
or
it.
the other will always come. I mean, if a door closes, a window always opens. So
Exactly. Every time. So
the focus on the window, not the door.
I remember that one. Love it. Oh, listen, well, thank you very much for your time. I've got my fingers and toes crossed for your hard work and circumstances to keep improving. And hopefully your story resonates with some of our listeners and they can reach out as well.
Yes, I hope the same. Fingers crossed.
Um,
But
Thank you
thank
very
you
much.
so much for giving me this opportunity.
You're more than welcome. Thank you. Thank you for watching this episode. I hope that you did enjoy it, had lots of takeaways from it. As before, please subscribe below so you can keep on top of any new releases we have. And also, if you would like to have your story told, just reach out with me and I'd love to give you that platform. My best email address is tom@purplepatchconsulting.com. Thank you.